Hey guys, this is Justin at the Survivor Review, and continuing my look at the James Bond movies that involve Spectre. Today I'm going to be talking about one of the best Bond movies ever, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, and one of the weakest Bond movies ever, Diamonds Are Forever. So let's begin with one of the most underappreciated and overlooked James Bond movies, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So this is a movie that most Bond fans know and really like, but is still overlooked by the general public. And that's because it's the black sheep of the franchise, since it's George Lazenby's first and last time playing James Bond. This was the first recasting of the character, and it didn't go too well. So while on leave, James Bond prevents this woman Tracy from committing suicide. Her father happens to be the head of a powerful crime syndicate, and he's impressed by Bond and wants him to protect Tracy by marrying her. And in exchange for that, he offers Bond information which will lead him to Blofeld. So first Bond agrees to the deal just because he wants to find Blofeld and kill him once and for all, but as time goes on, he grows to love Tracy. So he finds Blofeld and learns his plan to destroy mankind with a deadly virus, and has to do whatever he can to stop him, and in the process get married. At this point, the series was getting so outlandish that they had to scale it back. So this movie is stripped of all the gadgets, there's no gadgets in this one, all the crazy over-the-top sets, and it's just a straightforward spy thriller. And it's so weird that this movie came after You Only Live Twice, which is one of the most ridiculous Bond movies ever, but it works very well. So Lazenby as Bond, yeah, he's not that great, though he's not awful. For his first movie, you could tell he's not a bad actor. The problem is he lacks the charm and the wit of Sean Connery, and you could tell they're trying to make him like Connery's Bond. Because in some instances, Bond doesn't have to be completely charming. I mean, Daniel Craig's Bond isn't that charming, but his character's not meant to be. This character is supposed to be the Sean Connery Bond, so it comes off as kind of forced at times and a little bland. Though his acting really shines in the final scene. I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but it's a very dramatic scene, and he pulls that off perfectly. He's great. Diana Rigg as Tracy is one of, if not the best Bond girls ever. She's really good in the part. I mean, you have to buy that this is a character that Bond falls in love with. Bond, the guy who's with like 3 women every movie. And you buy it. It works very well. She sells the part very well, and she's really good. And one of the best parts of this movie. So this time, Telly Savalas, Kojak, plays Blofeld. And yeah, he's really different from Donald Pleasance, which is a little jarring at first. He's a very different type of character. He's less diabolical and over the top, and more suave and classy and laid back. The only problem with that is he doesn't feel like that big, important villain that the previous movies built up to. He feels like almost like a totally different character. But that being said, I still really enjoyed him as the villain of this movie. He played the villain very well. So even though it's not the interpretation you'd expect for Blofeld, he's still really good as a really good villain. There are a few problems with the movie though. The pacing is very irregular and is off at times. You have the first half where he meets Tracy and then they fall in love. And then he goes undercover in Blofeld's hideout to where there's no Tracy for the whole middle half of the film. And it's just kind of slow-paced, not very interesting middle half. And then he meets up with Tracy again. You get this really big, exciting third act. So it's just a little off. It's not perfectly paced. There's a weird thing where the actor who plays the character that Bond is undercover as, he dubs over Lazenby's voice for that middle half whenever Bond's undercover.
If you wish to be confirmed as Count de Blanchon, you must give me some of your time. I must have details of your living relatives.
And it just kind of takes you out of it, where it's like, I'm spending the whole middle half of this movie with my main character dubbed over by somebody else. And it's like, Lazenby couldn't have done a different voice? It just feels really strange and just, it doesn't work right. And it doesn't make any sense how Bond and Blofeld don't recognize each other when they meet. I mean, yeah, they imply that Blofeld changed his appearance, but how does he not recognize Bond? That makes no sense. I don't understand that part at all. Aside from that, though, this is a really strong and unique Bond movie. It's great seeing Bond more vulnerable and more human and actually grow as a character, because he never does that in the movies. So to see him actually grow is really interesting, and in this movie he feels more like an actual character and less like a superhero, which is very cool and very different. The action scenes are all really great. The hand-to-hand fight scenes are very well choreographed and well shot, and look more real than the Connery fight scenes, and just look really cool. I love how the third act of this movie never lets up. You have that middle half that's kind of dull and slow, but then when Bond meets up with Tracy, you have this great car chase, followed by this amazing ski chase, which is the highlight of the film. Very well shot, very engaging, and the final part of it with the whole avalanche is just crazy how it's all practical and all real, and it looks awesome, and that's the best action set piece of the film. And the exciting climax where they raid Blofeld's facility is a lot of fun and really cool. Aside from a few dodgy green screen shots that just look obviously fake, aside from those shots, it's a very fun climax and just an exciting third act that makes up for the dull moments in the second half. And I have to mention the ending. Now, I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but it's easily one of the most memorable sequences of the series. And like I said, greatly acted by Lazenby. Just a very tragic scene. And definitely one of the darkest and best endings to the series. So out of 10, I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. So that's On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Easily one of the best Bond movies of all time, and one of the most unique from the series. Just by the way, it takes away all the gadgets and all the crazy sets, and makes it about the character of Bond, and just its change of pace from the other movies, that even if it didn't have George Lazenby, it would still stand out as just such a different film of the series, and that's one of the best things about it. So even though the movie wasn't a failure, its follow-up went a different route than expected. They were able to get Sean Connery back one last time, and went back to the classic James Bond formula, and gave us Diamonds Are Forever. Diamonds are forever. This movie sucks. It's so clear that the formula from the other movies was just so tired by now, which is what made Her Majesty's Secret Service so great and fresh, was that it was something different. This one just goes back to that old formula, and there's nothing exciting about it. There's no good villain, the story sucks, it's just, this is not good. So the movie opens with Bond on the trail of Blofeld seeking revenge. He finds him and seemingly kills him. So after that, Bond has a new mission. A large amount of diamonds have been stolen from the South African mines, and these two assassins are killing off everybody in the smuggling ring one by one. So Bond goes undercover as this diamond smuggler to investigate and find these diamonds. But what he discovers is that the head of the smuggling ring is none other than Blofeld. So what works about this movie is seeing Sean Connery as James Bond. Though he really is starting to show his age. He's a little bit bigger, more wrinkly, more gray in the hair, and he's not as energetic as he used to, but he seems to be having more fun in the part than he did in You Only Live Twice, where he just looked flat out bored. So he's still fun to watch as the role, and that's still entertaining to see him as just James Bond. It's just a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Plenty.
But of course you are.
Plenty O'Toole.
The first half hour of the movie is actually not bad. I like the pre-credit scene where he's trying to find Blofeld. I love the way that opening was done. It's just really cool and really unique. And the plot is even a little bit fun at first, with him going undercover as the diamond smuggler. And there's even this great fight scene in an elevator between Bond and the diamond smuggler who he's pretending to be. And it's this really cool, closed-cornered fight scene, and it's the best scene in the whole movie. And it's really great. Later on, there's this pretty good car chase through Las Vegas between Bond and the cops. That's not too bad. The main problem with this movie is its overly campy and cheesy tone that just takes you out of it and you can't get invested in anything that's happening. It's the kind of cheesiness where it's like they're not trying. I mean, even later Roger Moore Bond movies that have a lot of cheesy moments, you could tell they're still putting an effort into it. This one just kind of feels like they're like, it's James Bond, let's just write some cheesy stuff. If you know what I mean, I hope that makes sense. There's this moon buggy chase scene which is so stupid and it's so unengaging. And then the setting of the movie, it mostly takes place in Las Vegas, which just isn't as exotic or exciting of a location for a Bond movie. It's just, it's Las Vegas. There's nothing exciting about it, nothing new or anything. It's just kind of going through the motions, which is really sucks that this is the last Connery movie, or the last official Connery Bond movie, that is just like a lame movie. The two assassins, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, I don't know, they just seem very over the top and silly, so I didn't really care for them. I didn't like their characters at all. I didn't find them fun to watch. They're just kind of, just there. And Charles Gray as Blofeld, easily the worst Blofeld of the series. He has no presence to him. He just comes off as just a generic villain. And even, Telly Savalas, who I said didn't feel like the character of Blofeld, he still had a presence to him to where he felt like he was a villain, and you actually bought that. This one, there's nothing to him. He's just kind of okay villain. And the worst part is, again, this adds to the campy tone of the movie, there's a scene where Blofeld's in drag.
I'm delighted to meet you, Miss Case. I'd so dreaded the prospect of making this tedious journey alone.
That's the biggest Bond villain of all time. And he's there sitting in a car in drag. And the plot of this movie just should have been something different. It should have been a revenge movie because of what happened at the end of Majesty's Secret Service. And yeah, Bond's getting his revenge at the beginning in the pre-credit scene, but that's it. He doesn't even mention that movie, and it just feels cheap. It makes the ending of Her Majesty's Secret Service feel pointless, and it makes it feel like they didn't care about that last movie. They're just like, oh, that's the weird one. Let's just kind of throw that to the side and just kind of ignore that, and that sucks. Like, this movie really should have been a revenge thriller about Bond getting revenge on Blofeld. So, out of 10, a 5 out of 10. Because it's not awful. I mean, Connery's still having fun for the most part. That elevator fight scene is great. And the car chase is okay. And the first half is, it's decent. But aside from that, it's just a very unexciting movie. That just kind of just going through the motions. And you could tell they really needed to overhaul the series at this point and bring in something fresh, which they ended up doing with Live and Let Die. So that ends Spectre's involvement in the official James Bond movies, until the new film Spectre with Daniel Craig. Though, in the movie For Your Eyes Only, there is a pre-credit sequence with a Blofeld-type character, because they didn't have the rights to say Blofeld. And in 1983, we got Never Say Never Again, the unofficial James Bond movie with Sean Connery, that does involve Spectre. So, next time, I'm going to be talking about those two movies. The pre-credit sequence for For Your Eyes Only, and the unofficial Bond movie, Never Say Never Again. So, until then, I'll talk to you guys later.